Hi, my name is Sira Boats. I'm an occupational therapist and a dementia specialist, and I'm also a daughter of dementia. And here at Boats Memory Method, we want to bring you hope on the dementia journey. And today we're going to talk about sleep. Sleep is just such an important part of brain health. When we sleep and we sleep well and we go through the different sleep cycles, the light sleep, the REM sleep, the deep sleep, we are actually producing BDNF, so brain-derived neurotrophic proteins. And that is what supports cell health. So during the night, if you are sleeping a good solid 7 to 9 hours and you are moving through the sleep cycles well, you are actually creating new neurons. So every morning you wake up, you receive mercies anew. New neurons are handed to you, and then it's up to you how well you nurture those neurons so that they can mature and that they can increase your brain capacity. So how do we sleep well? That is a question I get all the time. And I think in our modern day society, there's a lot of challenges that interferes with sleep. So let me take you back in history. Before electricity was discovered by Edison at the turn of the late 1870s, before we get to the 1900s, we as a species were sleeping between 10 and 12 hours a night. And the reason being, we didn't have anything to distract us from sleep. Fast forward, and the average sleep that we get now is between 6 and 8 hours. So that's a big gap from what we were sleeping as a human species just 150 years ago. 150 years ago. So within 150 years, we have shifted our sleeping patterns. And now we're seeing this era of cognitive decline, this era of dementia. And we wonder why. And of course, there's many complicated factors that impacts brain health, but sleep is such a major part. If we say that you need to sleep 7 to 9 hours a night to have a healthy brain, that's a third of your day. So that's a third of your day that you have control over, and that's the part of your day that you are developing new neurons, that you are basically in charge of creating more brain power for yourself. All you have to do is to commit to sleep and to sleep well. And that's the challenge. That's what we're going to talk about today, is how to have good sleep habits. And of course, like I always do, I went to research first to see what can I share with you that's a little bit different and new. And I happened upon this article in Yale University, done by Yale. I didn't know that there's National Sleep Week in September, so this was released for the National Sleep Week in 2023, and it's very interesting. They are going to talk about the different homeostatic processes that we need in order to have a good night's rest. And guess what? It happens when we wake up in the morning. So how we set up our day is going to influence how well we sleep. So we're going to talk about the different terminology, the one being homeostatic processes. So how do we set up our day and what does our brain need in order to get to a point where we can rest well? We're going to talk about circadian processes, so the fluctuation of being awake and tired during the day, and then dark and light exposure. There's such a great power in getting enough sunlight in the morning to stimulate alertness, and then to have darkness in the evening to release melatonin so you can sleep. So very important is light and dark exposure. And as you can guess, that's where electricity and electronic devices interferes. Then there's alcohol use. I don't think we talked enough about alcohol use and how that impacts our brain function and our sleep. And then body temperature and stimulus control at night, so that you can actually sleep. So what happens during the day that was new to me that I've learned today is that your brain, your sleep currency is being measured, and the accumulation of adenosine, adenosine. And adenosine is a byproduct of cellular metabolism. So more active and alert we are during the day, the more adenosine we build up in the brain, and the more adenosine you have, the sleepier you are going to be. Sleepier you are going to be in the evening so that you can rest. So during sleep, that adenosine is recycled and the levels are reduced in the brain so that tomorrow morning when I wake up, I can build up the adenosine levels again through alertness and activity. And exercise stimulates adenosine. So the more you exercise, the more adenosine release in your brain, which makes you sleep deprived, and you want to be sleep deprived because that's what kicks in the sleep response. So the less adenosine we have in the brain, the more alert we're going to be and the less sleepy we are. So if you're not releasing adenosine, you're not getting sleepy. So you're not exercising enough, you're not stimulating your brain enough. Maybe you're napping during the day, which is going to drop your adenosine levels, and now you don't have enough to fall asleep at night. Another thing that I didn't realize is that caffeine is a down-regulate adenosine, or that blocks the adenosine receptors. So if you are too caffeinated, you're interfering with your adenosine levels. So what you want to do is back off of your caffeine, stop drinking caffeine about midday, add exercise into your day and movement, because that is going to increase the adenosine levels in your brain so that you can fall asleep at night. So here's a good recipe for at night. So avoid those long naps during the day. There are research that say that a nap after lunchtime does help your brain to reset for more productive work, and it does help with the brain rest. But we have to be careful about how we nap and when we nap, because it does decrease the adenosine levels in your brain. Avoid caffeine. So I would say stop your caffeine intake around lunchtime. In this study, they do mention that people can get caffeine tolerant, which means over time, the caffeine will not lower your adenosine levels the way it used to, which may then have a reverse effect. The caffeine is not providing you the alertness you need. So in order for you to get the benefits, reap the benefits from caffeine, you need to have times that's caffeine free, so that your adenosine levels can build up, number one, so that you can sleep. And then tomorrow morning, when you're drinking that caffeine, it is able to interfere with adenosine release, which helps with alertness. So during the day, you have circadian processes, and the circadian process goes day and night. It's a 24-hour cycle, and your circadian rhythm is what takes you through being tired and being awake. And it's a cycle of alertness and sleepiness, and it is marked by the release of melatonin. So melatonin is the main orchestrator of the circadian process, and melatonin is influenced by light and dark. So within that first 24-hour cycle of sleep and wake, your best chance of falling asleep is when your sleep drive is high. In other words, your level of alertness is low, so your adenosine is high, and then you are exposed to dark for at least 4 hours. So your melatonin can be released, which is going to induce sleep. Now, guess what? If you have the electricity on and it's sharp white light and you're on your device, you're watching TV, you are interfering with that circadian rhythm where you're needing darkness in order to release melatonin. So what they're saying right here is, in order to keep your circadian rhythm normal, you want to wake up at the same time every morning. You want to make sure you get some of that bright sunlight first thing in the morning for at least 30 minutes. That's going to trigger that alertness within you. And then you want to have a regular light dark schedule. So keep regular mealtime schedules, keep regular exercise schedule, and then you have to towards the end, when you're getting ready to sleep, within your sleep schedule, you have to allot 4 hours before bed that you're not exposed to bright light. So what you can do is you want to limit that light from your electronics. So even ordinary room light can suppress that melatonin secretion. Melatonin is hypnogenic, so it regulates hormone secretions during the night like cortisol, growth hormone, leptin, ghrelin, which regulate alertness, metabolism, and your feeding behaviors. This is why if you're not sleeping well, your hormones can get messed up and you can even see weight gain. So if you're not sleeping well, your metabolism is affected. So what do we do? How can we monitor the day and daylight and night or dark exposure so that we can be sleepy enough? And what they say here is turn off your screens at least 4 hours before bedtime. Use blackout shades in front of your windows so that you, especially when you live in a city or a neighborhood with a lot of lights, that can filter through your curtains or your shades. You really want for your bedroom blackout shades so you can have a very dark environment for the melatonin release. And then if you are addicted to your devices, as many of us are, and to our TV, and you really cannot get to that 4-hour block before bedtime where you not have any screen exposure, try blue light spectrum blocking glasses to minimize that light exposure 4 hours before bedtime so that we can stimulate melatonin release. Now, as far as alcohol goes, alcohol can increase your N3 sleep at the beginning of the night, because many people say, oh, alcohol helps me sleep, it makes me sleepy. It does act as a sedative, but only to increase the N3 sleep at the beginning of the night, but it suppresses REM sleep. So you need that REM sleep for new neurons, and it causes significant sleep fragmentation and awakenings during the night. So initially it may help you to fall asleep, but then your sleep stay fragmented and you don't go through all the sleep cycles. So if you constantly consume alcohol in the evening before bed, you are interfering with your sleep cycle. You're going to lack that neurons that's generated during the night because you're not sleeping like you should. So avoid alcohol in that 4-hour block before bedtime. Last but not least, let's talk about body temperature. So there's lots of research that our body temperature needs to drop so that we can release that melatonin, and so that the melatonin can actually increase during the night. So it facilitates sleep, but also keeps us asleep. And studies show that a cool sleeping environment not only helps induce sleep, but it maintains sleep. So maybe have a fan on. There are some even bed sheets that you can buy, pillows that you can buy, a mattress, foam on mattresses that helps regulate body temperature and prevent the bed that you're sleeping on, the surface that you're sleeping on, from building up heat around you. So it's well known that heat can dysregulate REM sleep and cause sleep fragmentation, while cool temperatures keep the body longer in that N3 stage or deep sleep, the restorative sleep. And that's where we have that new neuron regeneration. That's what we're after. So to help fall and stay asleep, keep your room temperature cool between 63 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit at night. That's pretty cool. Taking a hot shower before bedtime will also help induce sleep, since the shower dissipates the body heat and cools the body temperature. Now, I can attest to that one. And exercise initially causes your increase in your body temperature, but then that's followed by a drop in core body temperature after an hour or so. That can facilitate sleep. So if you want to exercise, have a little session of exercise an hour and a half before bedtime, that will bring your core temperature down by the time you go to sleep. So here's a good sleep recipe that relates to temperature. Exercise in the late afternoon or evening, not too close to bedtime because it is an upregulator, so you want to have enough time to downregulate. Take a hot shower before bedtime and keep your bedroom temperature at cool between 63 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. They also talk about stimulus control. So how can we regulate our mood so that we're more relaxed and less anxious by the time we go to bed? It's very important that we have a good sleep schedule. So we have talked throughout this, we have talked about getting up at the same time, having meals at the same time, building your exercise in, make sure it's not too close to bedtime, make sure you shut off screens before 4 hours before bedtime. But then there's of course your mood. So how can I induce relaxation? How can I start to kind of shut down for the day? And some things that we can do are closer to bedtime, instead of watching TV or the news or social media, is meditation, breathing exercises, biofeedback, light reading. So find a relaxing book. It's not something that's too deep that you can fall asleep on. Better to fall asleep while reading a book than watching TV. So they're recommending a good sleep recipe here for you on how to manage your mood at night, as have that regular bedtime routine, whatever it is, to shower, read, meditate, something to signal to your body that you're ready to shut down. Start that routine about 30 to 40 minutes before your bedtime, and out of that 30 to 45 minutes, reserve 15 minutes just for relaxation. Don't use your bed for watching TV. So bedroom, you can read a book, you can listen to music, you can practice meditation, but your bedroom should be for sleep, and your bed should be associated with rest and relaxation. Go to a quiet, dark place instead of your bed if you need to do some light activity to distract you, like crossword puzzles, listening to the radio or reading, and then go to bed. And if you feel preoccupied by a list of things to do, write them down. Make a quick list, and this way you can rest assured and you can signal to your brain that I'm taking care of this. You're putting it black and white on paper, and now you can have your brain rest. So these are a few things for you to think about so that you can install a healthy sleep schedule. Remember, healthy sleep starts with what you do with your day, how you wake up, how much time you spend in daytime, daylight in the sun, and then also what you do with your 4 hours before you go to bed. I wish you all a restful sleep. And as always, please visit our website, sign up for our newsletter, go to peek at our Bouquet marketplace where we have a lot of dementia products and brain health products that we have selected just for you. And we will see you next time.